What's up, SnEaKyNation? SnEaKy-P here, back with all the news after week 3 in the preseason of year number 3 in our San Francisco 49ers franchise, where the 49ers got a loss to the Denver Broncos, and it was not a good game. Paxton Lynch and Zach Lindsey absolutely picked apart the 49ers defense, and it brings up a huge level of concern. You know, we are 1 week away from the regular season, and we cannot be giving up plays like we did in that last game. Now, the majority of that damage came against our backups. However, it's still not good, especially considering the number of injuries we had in the secondary last year. We need some of these players to step up and be able to make some plays if we are going to be a team that actually gets into the playoffs this year. Our defense is going to have to do a lot more in my eyes. We now have to cut 10 players, and this is where it gets really difficult. And the reason is because I've actually selected all of these players for different reasons, and I want them all on the roster. So having to cut 10 is not an easy task. Now, we do have the practice squad to work with. We're going to have to move Rich Sharp there. Hasn't developed a whole lot from last season, but he is still a guy that we do like. We'll move him over to the practice squad. The other 3 quarterbacks will remain on the roster. At running back, it is time to part ways with both Kelvin Taylor and Mike Davis. I actually do like them. However, we got Kirkland Marion, we got Carlos Hyde, who we like a lot, and then Sellers is emerging as well. Also 24 years old, a little bit better than Taylor in that regard. 1 year younger than Davis, about the same, has more speed. But overall, I think we're going to move forward with those 3 backs. If an injury takes place and we're at a point where we might need to free up or bring somebody back, those are going to be the first 2 guys we look at. But I think we're going to go into the regular season with these 3. Fullback, we're set. Wide receiver, this is a very difficult one. I think we are going to have to move Bynes to the practice squad. His catching's just not that good. I do still like him as a value player down the line, so we will move him to practice squad. If he can get his catching going, he might be able to make the rotation more so next year. I don't think we're going to cut anybody else here. I do want to keep Vladimir Mallard on the depth chart and potentially use him at times. His catching's just not where we need it to be. Neither is Berber. I mean, we're just going to struggle with drops throughout the season partly, I feel like. Going to keep all of our tight ends and all of our offensive line. Ronald Blair might... I think what we're going to do actually is cut Taylor Hart. He makes more money. He doesn't have the strength. Ronald Blair is also 2 years younger. They're the same overall. I don't want to do it, but I think I'm going to have to cut Taylor Hart and then move Ronald Blair over to right end here. Oh, man, I really did not want to cut him. I liked Taylor Hart quite a bit. Defensive tackle, we are going to move on from Michael Pierce here. Quentin Dial and Cody will remain. Left outside linebacker, going to move on from Mike Wakefield. Another difficult decision. Middle linebacker, I would like to keep everybody here on board. Maybe move Gaston over to the practice squad if I absolutely have to. But I'd like to keep him on the roster. We'll see what else we have towards the end here. This is where it gets difficult again, because I'm going to have to make a cut. One of these guys is going to have to go, and I really freaking like them all. We have Browning, who we signed as an undrafted free agent. I don't think this was actually on one of the off-season videos because we did it after our little practice session on stream. Does not have the speed as Robinson or Redmond. However, he has much better man coverage, which I appreciate. He even has better zone coverage as well. I don't feel like we can cut him. This guy's also younger, has more potential. Robinson and Redmond are 2 guys that I do value highly. And I really don't want to cut either of them, but I feel like we're in a difficult situation. So trying to figure out which one to move on from. I mean, Redmond is better in coverage. Robinson's a year younger, so in other words, if you give Robinson this year, I anticipate he'd actually be better, at least in man coverage, maybe not zone coverage. It's tough. It's really tough. I don't want to cut either of these guys. Let's come back to this. Free safety, not cutting anybody here. Strong safety. Dylan Diamond did get that sack, but his coverage is just not ready to play on the field. We will move him to the practice squad. Dontrell Jackson, I feel like I could cut him. I don't really see much of a future for him. You know what? Let's move him to practice squad. This might be a guy that we can move over to linebacker, actually, because he has very good tackle there. We'll move him to practice squad. I was thinking about cutting him. So I do. I have one more cut to go. What I might be able to do to keep those cornerbacks on the roster, and the reason I'm thinking this is because I can no longer put one of these guys on the practice squad. They have to be on the roster. So maybe we'll move Gaston over the practice squad for now, and if the time comes, we will move him up. That way I can keep the corners on the roster, because I don't want to cut them all together. I do want them there. And, you know, Gaston's going to be available. I mean, maybe somebody will sign him. Hopefully that's not the case. But he should be available in case of an injury or emergency or something, because he wouldn't really be seeing a whole lot of time as is. So I think we're going to have to make that decision. So there are 10 cuts. I didn't like it. I didn't want to cut anybody. There's actually somebody else I don't mind cutting here, and I will tell you why in a second. I wasn't even thinking of this a minute ago, but I actually looked through the list briefly on players that are available in free agency that have also gotten cut, and I think we are going to move on here. Let's see, are we going to take a penalty? Just a tiny one. Okay, we should be okay. So we need to sign another right tackle. There's actually one available. Does not have the best strength, but he actually had better strength than Theus there. And I think it would be a good move for us. So, practice squad eligible right here. 21 years old. Timothy Crowell out of Nebraska. So, again, strength, not really what I'd like from, you know, at least a starter. As a backup, I'm cool with that. But really he has solid run blocking, solid pass blocking early on. And again, he's very young, so we got time to develop this guy further. So we're going to go ahead and and he has quick development too. I actually didn't even click on him to find that out. So Timothy Crowell, somebody released him. Let's go ahead and pick him up. Seems like a solid move for our team there. Don't really need a running back or anything like that. We'll just move forward with what we got. So let's go ahead and check out the San Diego Chargers depth chart, see what they are working with here. And here we go. Phillip Rivers and TJ Yates backing him up. Mettenberger there as well. Melvin Gordon and Brandon Oliver at fullback. They have Span at wide. They have Janovich as well. Wide receiver Keenan Allen, Travis Benjamin, Donquell Dawson, who was taken in the first round, a player that we were scouting quite a lot. 86 catch, 93 speed. Would have been a freaking perfect pick for our slot, but he did not fall to our selection, or I really would have considered taking him. Adam Humphries and Deontay Little there at tight end. Hunter Henry and Will Tye go along the offensive line here. Nothing outstanding so far. At right guard, they have Fluker, and then at right tackle, Barksdale. Right side's a little bit better than the left side. Joey Bosa, an outstanding young player. At defensive tackle, Urschel, another good young player there. So, a lot of youth on this defense. Remember, they're 2 seasons removed now, I guess. Really, 1 season removed? I don't know, from 14-2. Last year, they struggled, but they do have a very good defense. They have a lot of playmakers here. And they're definitely going to be a tough matchup. So hopefully our team can come to play. Again, last week, the big issue that we had was that the fact that we were just unable to defend the pass. And that's going to be the big question mark. You know, we see a lot of really good receivers here as well. And obviously, plenty of experience by Phillip Rivers. However, the difference being Zach Lindsey is very capable of being the starting quarterback in this league, picking apart a bunch of backups. TJ Yates, maybe not a starter, so should even the playing field a little bit. We'll have to see if the 49ers bring it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in week 4 of the preseason as we take on the San Diego Chargers. Later.